Okay, welcome to One Stop Co-op Shop. Steve here again.
Hi, everybody.
We're not playing a game tonight.
No, we're just talking.
Just talking.
So that's okay.
There's a lot of just talking happening this week.
That's all right.
I'm okay with that though.
That's okay.
Yeah, we'll see what if you guys like this more.
Well, I mean, to be fair, we've played a whole campaign that was several months long.
It was several months long.
So let's kind of soak it in, you know.
Hey, Ryan, thanks for joining.
All right, evening. But yeah, I'm ready. I'm just going to follow your lead per normal.
Per normal, okay.
Yes.
So what are we doing tonight? This will probably be the last time we talk about Assassin's Creed for a while. Because we've been talking for months.
I mean, I still have to mail out certain giveaways.
Fair enough.
So.
But we thought we'd sit down and compare and contrast Assassin's Creed and what used to be called V-Commandos has now been called V-Sabotage.
Mm-hmm.
And we're comparing and contrasting these games because they're both from the same publisher and the same designers behind it. And there's a lot of similarities, but some differences too. Yes.
We did a brief, really quick play of V-Sabotage last night. Was that last night?
Yes.
Yeah, just a blur. Just to kind of refresh my memory or our memory of that game and then get a good comparison. So yeah, let's just dive right in.
Yeah. We do have the videos in this corner. There you go. Let me put my hand in front of your face. Sorry about that. Whoa!
You're not important.
Up there so you can see Assassin's Creed and V-Sabotage from earlier plays. So, okay. But yes, this is not going to be our normal. We normally do a top 5 format for review, but this is going to be a comparison. So I'm just going to have a bunch of talking points and we'll walk through them.
Yeah, bring up your note sheet. I always look at that.
We have the note sheet. Yes.
Your bullet points,
Exactly.
It's kind of like I just copy your homework,
I see how it is. Okay. But yeah, we're going to keep it spoiler-free for the most part. I think most of this can be pretty spoiler-free. There's a few comments I think we'll have to mention it. I will, yeah. I've got some notes in here. Okay.
Oh my gosh, it's a table, you guys. It's a freaking table in a Word document this time. I love your commitment, sweetie.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, and if you're joining us live, if you have any questions you want to know about either of these games, lay them out there. We're watching the chat. We'll stop and answer those questions. This is going to be a free-form discussion. Okay, so let's dive in. First thing to talk about is the turn structure.
Can we talk about briefly just an overview of the games? The whole point of the game.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, maybe. To help kind of lead us into...
I'm just diving into it.
See, that's why, I don't do the homework, but boom, I'm ready, So, yeah, Assassin's Creed, it's really a campaign, start to finish, multiple missions, and you're evolving your character. You're building kind of like a character tree set, and it's a very story-driven campaign.
1 to 4 players, heavy stealth.
If you choose to be.
True. Based upon the popular intellectual property.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed.
Video game. Yep.
I think they did a decent job on that, but
I agree.
We'll get there.
I think so too.
Is that a really good, super nutshell version?
Yeah.
Okay.
Want to take on V-Sabotage?
Nope.
Okay, I'll jump on that one, I guess. So V-Sabotage is a stealth infiltration game. It's not based upon intellectual property. I'd probably say inspired by history. It's not really historically themed. There's some campaigns set in real world settings, but it's not really Battle of the Bulge, here you are. No, not none of that. It's very arcade-esque, I feel when I play it. But
I'm still World War II.
Yeah, still World War II.
World War One.
Two.
Yes.
But yes, you're playing as commandos. Very heavy stealth emphasis in this one as well. And you try and do various objectives. The missions vary significantly between both these games, I'd say. So, yeah. But we'll get to that a little more.
Now, this campaign mode in V-Sabotage doesn't exist yet?
Yeah, we can just dive into it to start. So, we were fortunate to play V-Sabotage Ghosts.
Yeah.
Which at the time of this recording is not released yet, but we did we were lucky enough to do a demo of that, and there's on the channel if you're curious.
Go check it out.
Yeah, go check it out, exactly. So I'm going to speak to what's currently released now, and also add on some comments, if relevant, when Ghost arrives. So if you do watch the video when Ghost is out, this should still be somewhat relevant. I mean, granted, we saw the prototype. Things can change, so my
Yeah.
comments might be a little off.
So as it stands now, the available game of V-Sabotage is like more individual one-off plays, but you can have like a mission set, right?
Correct.
But it's not like a campaign
Kind of.
game.
Yeah, it's hard to describe because you can the game comes with 26 map setups. So like individual cards to say, here's the map to lay out, here's your objective, here's everything you put upon it, and you can play that. And that's normally like a 30-minute, 45-minute experience.
Sorry.
Okay, he's laughing at my animated. And then the operations, what they're called, is linking those together. You do this map with this map with this map, and you can play multiple maps at the same time. Some might need to be done in a certain order or simultaneously. I said at the same time, yes. Awkward.
The main difference being
You get it.
Assassin's Creed, single storyline mission campaign.
Correct.
One shot it, one and done type of thing, in
Correct.
the sense that that's your story.
Correct.
Sabotage, multiple missions.
Mm-hmm.
You can one off of it. You can link them together.
You do this operation.
Yeah,
the operation you
okay.
can do in one night, honestly. Probably maybe in one sitting. Like, it doesn't take very long to go through multiple of those at a go.
Okay.
So
that's the gist.
Yeah, big difference. Speaking of it, we could talk about the persistence, since you brought it up, the campaign and not.
Okay.
So what persists when you play in an operation for V-Sabotage is your health and any equipment or loot you find along the way. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is, you can bring it with you, which can be very beneficial because you can get like new weapons and new gear, for example. But for Assassin's Creed, you also keep equipment you find, treasures you find, and more importantly, you get skills. You level up.
So you get the same plus more of like an RPG type
Correct.
scenario.
Correct. Now, this is where V-Sabotage Ghost comes in play, because when that releases, that is going to add skills, so you can actually gain level ups in that. It's very different though, because in Assassin's Creed you have a deck of cards for each character, and you can choose between. I think it's you make for every level you get, you choose between 3 cards, I believe.
Somewhere like that.
Something like that, yeah. But in V-Sabotage, when you level up when you complete an objective. So you level up in game, and you have 2 decks of cards, and you choose between a one-time powerful ability per game or a multiple times per game but not quite as powerful ability.
But is it still draw 2, pick 1, or it's just dead
you
draw?
draw 1 of each and you pick between the ones you want.
Yeah.
Yep. And so, but that's a shared deck, so it's not like, oh, I'm the medic, I'm gonna get a medic specific level up. Doesn't really happen that way, so it's a bit different in that sense.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, that's the overall campaign and standalone. So yeah, obviously, if you're looking for a campaign game, easy recommend Assassin's Creed, because that's what it's driven towards.
Much more character development, I think, throughout the campaign.
Yep.
Which is what I actually really liked, because I know, and I think we'll talk like feelings at some point, but like my first impression starting to play Assassin's Creed, I was like, this feels too vanilla. Like, I didn't see the whole picture. And so like if you watch those videos, you could I make comments. I'm like, oh, V-Sabotage is way better. Well, I've changed my tune, because as the campaign went on, I was like, oh, this is sweet. But anyway, we'll talk about those differences.
Yeah, for sure. And I've lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
It's fine.
Go back to your table.
It's fine.
Right here.
Oh yeah, and the standalone definitely would be V-Sabotage, because you play it in 30 minutes. You can even do a full mini campaign and operation in one sitting. So
I think that's really nice, because like, yeah, we just finished this whole Assassin's Creed campaign. You can't jump back in and just randomly play one, where V-Sabotage, it's like, yeah, bring it to the table, and
the game. Yeah, Assassin's Creed set up so you could use one of the unused assassins to have some jump in. It's possible, but the problem is you don't know what's going on. You kind of lose a lot by doing that. You would just be playing the game mechanically, not invested in the story.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll asterisk technically you could.
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't recommend it.
I wouldn't either. So I agree with you. I'm just saying that you can technically do it. All right. Turn structure. This is easy. The games are identical. Turn structure.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are.
No, because
okay, go ahead.
Assassin's Creed, you get your 3 actions.
You get an event card.
You get okay, fine. Lay that part out.
Okay.
And then
Event card. An event card tells
it.
you where they're going to move.
Yep.
Then you get your 3 actions.
Yep.
Every gets 3 actions plus a save. And then you do enemy spawn,
Yeah.
enemy movement, and enemy attack. And they're both exactly like that, and you rinse and repeat.
But you don't play them out the same.
That's correct. That's correct.
See? Both right.
Yep, you're right. Yeah,
because in Assassin's Creed, which I actually like better, you can play simultaneously. So, like, I can take one of my action points and do something to set you up, and then your action point's going to come in and do something. Whereas opposed to v-Sabotage, I have to take all my actions, and then you have to take all your actions.
Correct. But that order is variable. We can pick. Yes. I'm going to go first now, then you go after me. So it's a little bit open-ended, but it's not nearly Assassin's Creed where you can just, hey, I'm going to do this one. I'm going to do this action. You can do willy-nilly in that one. I'm curious if this is going to work for v-Sabotage, if we could just play that way.
Oh, you're going to try it. You're going to house rule, give it a shot, and he'll let everybody know.
I definitely will, for sure. So, but yeah, so I don't think there's a strong difference there between the two of them.
Well, right now, I think the way you can strategize, because the way you can interject in each other's turns, I think changes it.
You can do that in v-Sabotage even with the rules as written with the +1 saved action too.
As an interrupt action?
You do it anytime. Yep. So it's not as good because it's only one action as opposed to all your actions. So it's better than Creed for sure.
For that cooperation aspect of it.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, turn structure. Let's talk about stealth in this one. There's a lot of elements to talk about stealth, but probably the big one is these are kind of similar, but also very different. So what it means by stealth check, I know I'm being very
You're contradicting
nebulous.
yourself.
Yeah. So the similar part of it is anytime you move or an enemy moves into your spot where you're currently in stealth, you have to roll 1 die per enemy. Same for both of them. And if you get any... you get eyeballs. You look for eyeballs. If you get eyeballs on your die roll...
Or alarms.
Correct. That's the difference. If you get eyeballs on your dice, you get spotted. So the difference is, if the alarm's going off, it's a 1/3 chance from being spotted for both of them. Yeah, 1/3 chance. So most likely you'll be fine, but you can be spotted for either of them. However, like you said, if the alarm's going off in Assassin's Creed, that jumps up to a 2/3 chance of being spotted.
Because they're alerted and they're like, something's fishy.
Correct. The alarm's going on in v-Sabotage, that doesn't change. It's always 1/3 straight.
I guess I never put that together. If the alarm was just spawning more guys, we'll get there.
Yeah, so that is a big difference. If you don't like luck in your games, you might want to go more v-Sabotage because it's always a lower percentage no matter what happens. But thematically, it's kind of cool what it did in Creed.
Yeah. Because you're gonna have to run around. You can try to go. You got to lose your tail, first of all.
That's another topic. Yes.
For sure. Am I getting ahead?
No, keep going. Okay. Keep going.
Yeah. So in Assassin's Creed, you can try to run away, lose the tail, and hide. Like they have the hay bales. They got little I'm going to say nooks and crannies, but the little huts that you could dive in and
hiding spots. Yep.
Yeah, hiding spots. And then for v-Sabotage, do they hunt you? Do they chase you?
No, they don't, but they have attacks of opportunity.
Okay.
So if you leave a spot and you're visible, they'll shoot at you as you leave.
Shoot you in the back.
That's right.
So Assassin's Creed chase you down, and then when it's their turn, try to kill you. And then v-Sabotage immediately shot in the back.
That's right.
Okay. That's right. That's the difference.
Correct.
So, but I think both are thematically fine.
I agree.
Yeah, I like it.
I mean, if you got guns, you would shoot someone running, right? The bad guy running away from you, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
So, for sure. So that's the stealth check. Now, another thing that's different about this game is what happens when you eliminate enemies.
Yeah.
You want to take this one?
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
Well, okay now. So, and I'm going to say more about Assassin's Creed because that's fresher.
Sure.
And our play of v-Sabotage last night was very brief. Side note: our son jumped in, so it was way too many players for the map we were playing at that time. Right. Anyway, no, Assassin's Creed, when you knock out very gently an enemy with your blades or whatever it is, their token lies on the ground, and then they're just a body, and they stay there until you hide the body. You could leave it for their comrades to maybe stumble across and then raise suspicion. And then I think that's a really cool part of the game. You loved it because that's another way of getting loot. You know, you're raiding the dead bodies. Terrible. I really don't know if the assassins are the heroes in this game at all. But
yeah, T guard, killy versus shot in the back. So the difference is they kill you or they kill you in the back.
Yes, exactly. Same thing. One will chase you first, and the other will just shoot you right away.
That's right.
But
you get the bodies.
The bodies, and then you can spend an action to hide the bodies and cover your tracks, or you just leave them there, and if you don't care about them.
Yeah, I mean that's another chance that you might get the alarm might be wrong because they do a stealth check for the bodies just like they would be for assassins. So it's harder, I'd say, to maintain stealth in Assassin's Creed from a dice stealth check.
Well, if you're leaving a trail of dead bodies all around, yeah, it should be harder to stay stealthy because it's like Captain of the Guard's gonna walk around. What is this? You guys just napping?
Where is Fred? Where'd he go? Oh, there he is. Wait.
Who's Fred?
I don't know.
That's a great old-timey name, Fred. Anyway, so with the bodies or the deaths in Commando's Sabotage, you can talk about that one.
Yeah, there's no bodies. This is what it is. But like similar to what you said, where you can loot the bodies and draw cards from the equipment deck in V-Sabotage, you draw loot, or loot drops, I should say, in that spot from an equipment bag. It's very different. But it's similar in concept on how it works.
Yeah, so there's loot on the ground. You still have to spend an action to pick it up.
Yep.
But you know in Sabotage what it is before you spend that action, right?
Wait, what?
So when you kill a guy, you pull an item from the bag and you put it on the board.
Yes.
It's visible. You know what it is.
Correct.
In Assassin's Creed, you have no idea. When you loot the bodies, you're drawing from a card stack.
It's true.
And there is a card in there that says, guards alerted or something. And if there's a certain enemy by you, they can then see you and notice that you're looting dead bodies, and that's not really something you should be doing.
Yeah.
So that's different.
Correct. So they have the investigation in the deck for the enemies. Now, in V-Sabotage, they have something similar. They have a spotted token.
True. And
so that is if you take out enemies, and after you take out an enemy, at least one remains, and when you draw the loot, you draw a spotted token, his buddy in that same room saw you take out his friend.
Yes.
And now you're visible.
There was a witness.
There was a witness to the crime.
So, yeah, you're right. I forgot about the witness token.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is the spotted token became the investigation card in the equipment deck. This is how it worked.
So they do play very similarly.
They do.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing I'll mention is the equipment deck. Over the course of the campaign, you can manipulate that, which I thought was really, really cool. I love that aspect of it.
Any chance you get to change a game, you're all about it.
I do.
It's like, I don't need this standard rule set.
Let's get rid of these equipments that we don't really care to draw anymore.
But you don't want to go too extreme on that because you're going to pull those investigation cards out more quickly, and then the guards will see you.
Correct.
So.
Hey, Barrett. Bestest difference is being able to drop your mini from the tower in Assassin's Creed. End of discussion. Mini drop. Walks out. Nice. Yes, that tower is ridiculously cool for sure.
Yes. Yeah. Although, like we said before, we didn't use it because it was too big.
True. For sure.
I will say, and I know. Do you have minis?
Well, hold on.
Here?
We do.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about which of those bodies and loots you like better, or are they basically the same to you? Before we keep going.
I think I like the bodies, like leaving a trail of bodies, because it adds another level of difficulty in the sense that, or strategy. So you could leave bodies over somewhere, and maybe that will. Well, they won't. They don't really stay there.
Nope, they just happen across.
They happen to. Yeah, so it's like, do you want to risk rushing through and just leaving a trail of death, or
and an alarm?
With the alarm going off, or do you want to clean up after yourself? But maybe that's going to delay something else that's putting pressure on you, as opposed to sabotage. Yeah, the bodies are gone, but I think in Creed though, their buddy will see you in reaction fire, right? That's kind of
enemies only attack you. Well, they attack you in two ways. They attack you during their enemy turn. Usually, They can also attack you if you attack them. They retaliate immediately.
So retaliation.
But that's only when you're attacking them, not with stealth checks.
Oh, okay.
So it's different.
Right.
Yeah.
So, well, anyway, your question was, which do I prefer? I think I like the Trail of Bodies.
Okay.
I mean, leaving the
Trail of Bodies. Oh my!
I'm just a murderous.
Help!
He's trapped, you guys. It's all a facade. Okay. What do you like?
I'm not sure on this one.
I think a part of you also likes the sabotage because of the bag and their loots that you can pull. It's a lot more variety.
There's a lot more variety,
So.
and it's very, very interesting, and it affects your strategy in that one. Mm-hmm. Like the equipment deck can affect your strategy in Assassin's Creed, but it doesn't happen as often, I would say.
I don't think. Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
it's tough. I think you're saying tough. That it's not always as impactful if like you draw your card.
Yeah, but you can control it.
There are some really good.
Correct.
I don't know.
It's a tough call.
I think that's a wash for me. Dead bodies.
The downside of the bodies is you now have to spend one of your actions to. It's an extra action to clean them up or pick them up all the time or hide them, as to say. Mm-hmm. So now you're spending less actions doing what's your objective and just maintaining the board state.
Yes, which adds that difficulty level, which is interesting because that's all you're like, let's make this harder.
I do, but I don't know if I always want to spend time doing that. Normally I want to focus on it's extra.
It feels like just I got to do this. It's stinking cleanup. My God.
And you only have 3 actions.
A wasted action. Well, if you save it and manage your actions properly, you have 4. So.
Well, at least Assassin's Creed is faithful to the original few games. Make no mistake, the first few games were not very good at creating the feeling of being an assassin.
Yes. And I think I captured that perfectly in the beginning of our campaign with my mace.
Yes.
Where it was just like...
or like spree killer simulators. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So anyway, but to your point, the V-Sabotage, the loot is more varied.
It's tough. It's a tough call. I think this is almost a wash for me. I can go either way. It depends on my mood.
Oh, again, maybe it's not more varied because in the campaign of Assassin's Creed, you do unlock more loot, but like the standard set of loot that you get from the bodies, yeah, Sabotage has a lot more variety.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, speaking of loot, because I love loot, we talk about treasures.
Oh my God. How many times did we go after loot on some sort of random rooftop?
All the time.
There was like one game where you listened to Reason, and I don't know if it was Ryan or somebody on the stream was like, "Oh my God!" Like, do it! No. I'm glad you listened to Reason.
But yeah, so this is a big difference. So in V-Sabotage, this doesn't exist whatsoever. In Assassin's Creed, you have a treasure deck. And so in the game, you can climb on top of a tower and synchronize and reveal stuff, generally reveal the location of a treasure. You can go there and get it's a set treasure deck throughout the campaign. New good stuff, really good stuff.
Pretty good stuff in that treasure deck.
Yeah.
So it's worth taking that risk and going after it, as silly as it might seem sometimes.
Oh yeah, always. But yeah, that just exists in Creed for sure. There's nothing like that in V-Sabotage. So
no. I guess I'm thinking of like their little.
Well, maybe the equivalent would be on maps. They do start with equipment in that space.
Yeah, it's like some sort of sweet tank or.
That's true.
You know, so there's really good. I'm going to call them like loot points or locations on the map in Sabotage, but it's more of like a really cool gun that you're going to park yourself there and shoot.
Well, that's something you can interact with.
Okay.
Yeah, the more like, oh yeah, you need to blow up this tank. Here's some TNT over in this corner. You might need to go there, get it, and then go blow it up. So
yeah.
So hey Dan, welcome.
Yep. Hello. That was weird.
Hello. Hello, Govda. It's gonna be one of those nights. Okay. Yeah, so treasures, even more loot in Assassin's Creed. If you love loot, easy recommend that way. Character skills.
Yes.
So in Assassin's Creed, your innate. Oh wait, no, we didn't talk about innate skills.
No, we didn't.
Okay, let's talk about the innate skills on each character. So in Assassin's Creed, you tend to have just one. And that was a little gold member.
Sorry, I saw that gold member comment. I was like, okay.
Hello. Nice, Dan. Nice.
Okay, innate skills. What are
Sorry,
you saying?
you have one basically in Assassin's Creed, and
You
it's
start with.
no
No,
innate. I'm
you're
talking
right.
about innate
Yes, yes,
specifically.
yes.
In V-Sabotage, you have 1 to up to 3. And in Assassin's Creed, your innate can generally be used once every round. And Assassin's Creed, sometimes it's once a round, sometimes, depending on what it is, it's as much as you want. So you have more skills generally, and you can use them more often generally for the innates.
In Sabotage?
In Sabotage, yeah.
Oh, Alessandra's reroll thing was just boss moves all the
It
time.
was boss move for sure.
I rigged her up so great. Like, she's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, the skills were. I think the skills might have been. Well, they're great in either one. Like, there's some really good skills in both of them. I would say.
Mhm.
So I don't think I don't have any issues with what skills were provided. I'm just saying you have more of them generally in V-Sabotage for the innate. Now the difference is you don't level up.
No, you don't level up.
Right. So you normally. So like we said before, you can get up to 4 additional skills, and those are once per game
In
in a Creed.
Creed.
Correct.
And that one, you do level up your innate skill as your
That's correct.
character develops.
Correct.
So, again, like starting out, first impression, I wasn't 100% sold on this character development and how this was going to play out. But throughout the campaign, it does really evolve.
Definitely.
So,
significantly.
yeah.
And it's character specific too, which is really great. Yeah, in V-Sabotage, you don't have any of that, with the exception of, like we mentioned earlier, Ghost does provide level ups, but it's not the same.
Correct.
Not the
And
same.
like you said, that isn't out yet.
Right.
And we played a demo a year ago. I don't even remember when it
Something
was.
like
So
that.
it's probably entirely different. So we can't really even say for sure
Correct.
what
Well,
that is.
it's in the game, but I don't know what the end result's going to be. So
Yes.
that's all I can say.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll mention is while your skills change in Assassin's Creed as you level up, in V-Sabotage, each character is double-sided, and they have different abilities on either side, and different equipment loadouts, and different bag. What do we say? Space in the bag that can hold other equipment. Encumbrance. I don't know. You can hold more stuff in your backpack, I guess. Let's put it that way, or less. So that changes between the
You
same
can hold
character.
more or less things. Wait,
yeah, that changes.
Okay.
So so your primary weapon changes, your items you start with changes, and
So
how much space you have
your
changes
whole
as well.
loadout changes when you flip or whatever the case may be.
Yep, from the same character. So you got quite a bit of variety there.
And then in Creed, it's just an evolution.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. These are just very different approaches. I felt more connected, of course, toward Creed because it's your character.
Oh, 100%. But that's the style. Because
Right.
it's a long campaign.
Right.
You're playing a story. You're developing your character. When you die, you feel bad. You know?
For sure.
So,
But the ability wise and your opportunities for doing stuff, I maybe a slight edge to V-Sabotage only because there's generally not a limit to how often you can do them. There's a few limits in there.
Dan's asking, there's no upgrades in the longer missions in Sabotage. There are in.
If depends on what you're talking about. If you're talking about the operation, the only way you upgrade is via equipment and stuff you get, and that can be significant for sure. Now with Ghost, you do level up with additional skills, but that's not out yet. That's coming out in June or July, I believe. So
yeah,
we'll see.
So, but again, I think that's in part because Sabotage, even the missions, is still like a sit down and single play type of thing.
Yeah.
As opposed to Creed, and that is I'd say it's more like an RPG campaign.
Definitely, for sure.
Although it's not really role playing game, but it's at least that character development building out.
Correct.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So it's a tough call. They're pretty close. It just depends on the style of game. I think is what's really driving it is working into.
Okay.
You agree with that?
Sure.
Okay. We've talked about some of these topics already. Scenario variety. This is a tough one. But, so I'll say this much. I say Assassin's Creed scenario variety is good. It's good. It's not... You're kind of doing...
It felt a little repetitive at times.
It does. It does. At times it does, for sure. Now, on the flip side, I think V-Sabotage, the scenario variety, is excellent. Yes. You're still doing... you can boil it down to, I'm always blowing something up or going to a spot and spending actions at objective or rescuing someone. But, like, the context around that and each map has special rules associated with it in V-Sabotage. And in an operation... So here's the other thing that changes, too. So you can play a single map layout, and that's going to tell you, like, here's the board, here's your objective, you can play it, you're good to go. If you play it as part of an operation, those rules in that sub does change in the operation. So even if you played that map before, it's going to be different when you play it as part of a linked... I'll use the word campaign, but it's not really a campaign, it's just a series of them. So there's a lot of variety even in that setup. So for me, like, scenario variety, it's good in Creed, it's good, but in Assassin's Creed, sorry. V-Sabotage is the better choice in that regard. I feel confident saying that.
But I also, I was going to say because... No, my train of thought, it's gone.
It's gone. Train left decision.
I was like, what I was about to say didn't make sense in my own head.
Yeah, there's so much. In fact, I was just looking through them. There's some of them I haven't played yet even, and it's like, this sounds really cool, and try this one out, and it's really fun. It's
like, because in Creed, the story's different. There's different flavor text, but at times I always felt like, okay, you have to go to objective A, B, and get out. And they could put whatever text around that, and it still kind of felt the same.
Maybe, yeah.
At times. At times. But I also think because we played that once a week, and it was kind of a cadence, so maybe that was part of it. As opposed to Sabotage, I guess the scenarios are more varied. Like last night, we had to save 7 people or from a school or something.
That's right.
And so
there was no objectives on the board at all.
Yeah, no objectives. Just rescue all these school children, or I don't know who they were.
Teachers, personnel.
And I guess in Creed it was not that varied.
You do have races. Both of them have races where you have to get from point A to point B, and other timed events that do that for sure.
And like a big boss.
Big boss. Yeah. Bosses aren't as common in V-Sabotage because of the setting. Yeah. But you do, and some of them have a big... You might have like an anti-aircraft gun or a tank to go up against. So it's a little bit of that. It's not quite boss feeling, though, I would say. Generally, you have big targets to eliminate instead by using stealth and subterfuge and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, you got to blow up some sort of giant
submarine or something. Yeah, for sure.
That was a hard one. I remember that one.
Yeah.
So I guess, point for Sabotage. Yeah. But I'm not really knocking Creed. No, it was a great campaign.
It's good. It's good variety. But just not
if
as
I wanted
good.
to bring something to the table and just mix it up, I'd bring Sabotage out.
For sure. Speaking of setting up, map setup. So these are kind of similar. They're not huge differences. Well, there's different. I need to stop saying that.
You just counter yourself. I don't have to be here. You just counter yourself.
V-Sabotage has one of the best setups ever in any board game I've played. And I say that because it's designed out of the gate that way to be easy to get to the table because it's meant to be multiple operations. A little sideways eyes Kim kind of gives Steve. Like she's thinking, I can tell has some thought he wants to get out.
Yep.
His mouth isn't cooperating.
Yep, exactly. We've been together for 15 years, right? 16?
Yeah, we'll go with that.
A long time.
Long time.
Yeah.
For sure.
Keep them coming.
But yeah, so setup in V-Sabotage is excellent. It's best in like probably any board game because it's super easy. There's only 3 different size tiles, like a small, a medium, and a large. And each tile has on one side outdoor terrain and the other side's indoor terrain. That's it. And so I look at the map setup, I see how many large, medium, and small. I can grab any of them, doesn't matter. And I flip them to the right side and I'm done. I don't have to worry about anything else from that standpoint. You do have to put like doors and other tokens on the board, but that's normal for this type of stuff. On Assassin's Creed, it's pretty good still. It's not quite that level because you basically have all small tiles for the most part, and you have 4 different types. So you have courtyard, you have indoor, you have rooftop, and then canal or water spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And the main difference is you need to add the doors onto V-Sabotage so that you know where your entrances and exits are, and you have to open and close doors. There's no doors in Assassin's Creed, instead you have walls.
There's walls, well, there's ladders you got to place.
Correct, ladders instead. And so it's different on either side, so you have to grab the right tile and then make sure it's on the right side, put it on the board, and then there's obviously some bigger tiles you put on there too, like the tower. Not a huge deal in Creed, but I definitely liked it better in V-Sabotage.
They are both fabulous for me.
You just,
hey,
it's all set up.
Come downstairs. Oh, look at this place setting.
Yes, Baron, best in any board game. V-Sabotage wins that one. It does. I mean, the setup in that game is fantastic. Love it.
He always raises. Oh, it's so easy. Just throw these tiles down.
It's so great.
But like you're saying, I don't think Creed is bad. It's just
it's not bad.
You just got to get a certain tile.
I'm comparing it to the best I've probably ever experienced to like a normal board game. It's hard comparison. And Dan said, I specifically paid to get extra to have the thematic tiles, but it makes setup take longer. It's true. So now I say that, but in the game it might be like, oh, there's a sub here. Well, there's a sub tile in artwork. If you care, you can put it on the board.
I think that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah, it helps, get into the game. Otherwise,
but you don't have to. That's a nice thing about it. You can grab any tile and throw it down. It doesn't matter.
No.
Fine. So you need the artwork.
Well, if you're telling me, hey, go blow up a submarine, and I'm looking at a field, it's like
it's an airfield.
Yeah, that's a new machine.
Okay, fair enough. But I wanted it to look like an airfield or what? Yeah, it does.
Exactly.
Yeah,
same
exactly.
page.
Yeah, so it's an option. If that matters to you, it's definitely in the game. You just don't have to do it.
I'd say that'd be the same. If you're worried about what tile is what in Sabotage, then you got to worry about what tile is what in Creed. It's the same thing. But this is also coming from the woman that never sets up a board game.
I guess it's still easier in V-Sabotage.
Okay.
But yes, I can see it being closer, for sure. Okay, so yeah, that is. I think they both do a great job on that setup. You don't have to worry about doors in Assassin's Creed, but there's no doors at all in Creed. You just have ladders instead, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Okay. Tile. Oh yes, tile limit. Speaking of the map tiles themselves, in Assassin's Creed, you can only ever have 4 enemies on a tile at a time. That's it. Plus any number of good pieces, player pieces, and other stuff. That's us.
Well, you say tile, and you got to be careful because there's that large tile. There's 4 cells.
That's correct. 4 areas. Thank you.
An area can only ever have 4. So, like that big tile, you would have 16 guys total, but only 4 per quadrant.
Good call. Thank you.
Aha.
Thank you. Yeah. So that's for Assassin's Creed and V-Sabotage. It's variable. It's going to depend on the size of the tile. If it's a small tile, I think it's only 4 people, and then it goes up from there. I don't remember the actual numbers, but yeah.
I think that's comparable though, because like we said, I think the ratio of guys on the tiles between both games is the same.
It might be close. But it functions very different though, because if I'm moving through a big area, the tile itself is my area in V-Sabotage, so I can cross a big area quickly. In Assassin's Creed, because that big tile is separated into small areas, you point out, it takes me a few more steps to get across.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but they're probably close with the number of people on them. Now, this matters in the enemy spawn. What's going on?
Sorry, distracted.
If I'm supposed to be looking at a submarine, if I'm looking at an airfield, it's an airfield. Steve, I'm curious, what was the last time you saw a submarine in an airfield? Thanks, Thomas. Thanks, Thomas.
Yep.
So this is like a Mike happy level, because Mike doesn't. He'll grab a random miniature that doesn't match the correct miniature just because he doesn't want to grab the other one, and he'll just play the game with a random miniature. So
Sabotage for the win.
Exactly. Okay. So that's more Mike style, I'd say.
Yeah.
For sure. What was I saying? The spaces. Yeah. And it matters because when moving stuff, you have less ability to move into those areas. Like, yes, it's probably the same number of people in a big square, but by moving from one tile to another tile, there's much more opportunity for them to move in a big tile than it is in a small area. You know what I'm trying to say?
I like zoned for about 2 seconds of what you were saying.
Long story short, like people will move more often in V-Sabotage than Creed. The enemies will.
Yes.
And in addition to spawning, it's very different then as well, because if a tile is full in Creed, they just won't enter the map, which happened frequently for us.
Yeah, and they don't backlog like they do in Sabotage.
Correct.
Which I actually prefer Sabotage's method because we didn't break the game in Creed, but we used it to our advantage.
Definitely.
Where we could just block that entrance and trap those 4 guys there, and then that spawn point's essentially nullified.
Correct.
But in Sabotage, you get a backlog of guys trying to bust down this door, the entrance, or whatever it is they're trying to get onto the map, and they're not going away. You're still going to have to deal with them.
Correct. And it also triggers into the loss condition. In both games, if you run out of bad guys, you lose the game.
Yes.
In Creed, there was like maybe 1 or 2 memories that we were close to having happen, but honestly, it wasn't much of a threat. Because if they don't spawn,
they stay in the pool.
They stay in the pool, exactly.
Sabotage, they may not be on the physical board, but they're in the queue and they're no longer in the pool.
Exactly.
And so you're going to run out of your enemies if you're not managing that.
Yeah, it has much more tension on that specific regard.
But sure. I think there's more enemies in Sabotage than Creed.
That's another one to talk about, yes. Enemy variety. So
I was talking actually like physical count.
Oh.
Too. I've never counted how many tokens are in the bag, but
that's true.
Yeah, and that might kind of balance that out with the guys building up at the spawn points versus Creed not doing that at all. But yeah,
because there's 30 crossbowmen and
that's a detail.
10 elites, I believe. So 40 units, let's say.
Okay.
It might be 30 or 40. Correct me if I'm wrong.
In Creed?
In Creed, yeah.
Yeah, and I have no idea how many are in Sabotage.
It's probably
I think it's a lot.
It's between 10 to 20. And it changes, actually. It does change as the game goes on, which is another thing to talk about.
Okay. Well, let's talk about enemy variety.
Go ahead.
That's where you're getting.
Go ahead.
So when we started the Creed play, again, I was very vocal. I'm like, why are there only 2 enemies and they never change? This is ridiculous and very blah.
Yep.
Just get through that part.
Yeah.
Things will change, but you still only ever have 2 enemy varieties on the board if you ignore like a boss that's also going to be out there at some point. Whereas in Sabotage, you have I don't know how many different enemies. They're just all jumbled in the bag, and you can get them. They're elites. You mentioned it: officers, dogs, guys with gas masks.
So there's regular units. And every regular unit in the game has 2 sides to it. It could be a weaker version. He's got a smaller gun, or MP40, I think is the bigger gun. He's twice the strength to attack. And that's a random luck when you pull him out. It could be either side when you pull it out. But there are, additionally, there's other types. There's, in the core box, there's guys with sledgehammers, which ties into a crowbar item where you can like barricade them so they don't spawn. So they make it more likely to spawn. And then in expansions, they added gas masks for poison tanks in there as well. So those are just the regular units. So you already have a mixture there. And then on top of that, you have these elite units. And you can choose different ones depending on what scenario you're playing. In the regular one, you have...
Sorry. I'm going to say, thanks, Barrett. Yes, both games are very good.
Yes.
Yeah. And then, Dan, I'm going to touch on your comment, but I'm going to let you finish,
okay.
Steve.
And on the elite side, they have in the base core set, they have, I believe, just a strong enemy unit. And then on the expansions, they have an officer. On the flip side, it's a dog. And then the other one, they have a paratrooper. On the flip side, they have a Goliath tank, which is a remote control tank. So you can actually throw those in there to have even more variety. And it's a little bit random because when you pull them out, depending on what side you grab, is the enemy that enters.
Yeah, so that's different. Now, Dan's saying how, because my comment earlier was there's only 2 and there's not a lot of variety. They have skills, on them, which is nice because there's no real enemy skill on the sabotage enemies.
The only skill they have is, do I have a sledgehammer or do I have a gas mask? That's
Yeah.
basically it. Or actually, there is a skill built into like the elites. I'll say that.
Okay,
But
that's
not
fair.
really.
But I think skill wise for the enemies, yeah, I think there's a little bit more pizzazz on Creed.
Yes.
But like Dan is saying, maybe they did that on purpose because, like in the OG video games, there wasn't a whole lot of different bad guys. You had, your crossbowmen and your spear guys that were trying to, or swordmen, pokey pokey.
It's true. It's true.
So maybe it was purposeful.
It's true.
But that was a big like blah for me to start comparing it originally to Sabotage. But like I said, I got over it and it evolved as the campaign went on.
The other thing I'll mention too is that there's a couple of things. Sorry, they do talk about guard points. There's guard points in both of them. In Assassin's Creed, you have this plastic piece where you put 3 of them on there and they protect that point. In V-Sabotage, you have triangle pieces. Anytime they run on a triangle piece, one of them will stay behind to guard that spot. Mm-hmm. So they both have guards. In the Creed, you have up to 3. In Sabotage, you have only 1. So that's pretty similar, honestly, for the most part.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to mention is the ramp up. There is much more of a ramp up, I would say. Well, it depends. I think the ramp up in the Sabotage happens more because in the game, when you draw enemies from this bag, you don't know what you're going to draw, but to start the game, you have these no spawn tokens. You draw one of those on the spawn point, nobody spawns. But when you pull that out, you remove that from the game and replace it with an elite enemy token. So the longer you keep playing the same game, the more elite enemies in the bag, the more chance you have a big bad guy coming out that you have to deal with. So that's a nice difference in that. Mm-hmm. Let's transition a little bit. I do want to talk about taking out enemies.
Taking out enemies, okay.
Yeah, likelihood to hit. Let's talk about, some people don't like dice. Go ahead.
If I'm rolling.
You're rolling.
I'm just kidding.
With the special abilities.
Yeah. No, I'm telling you, she was awesome. By the end of the campaign, it was great.
It's crazy that your worst rule is to hit twice.
That's right. So, yeah, be smart when you build your characters.
Right. But yeah, if you look at the dice hits, on Assassin's Creed, it's a 2/3 chance to hit an enemy with a single die. So it depends on what weapon you have. You can roll a different number of dice, which is true for both. Now, in V-Sabotage, it's very different. You still roll a number of dice equal to your weapon, whatever it tells you to, but that likelihood is going to change.
Based on the tile they're on?
Based on the target tile.
Yeah.
Either the tile next to you or the tile you're on. And so if it's a small tile, it's much harder to hit them because there's a lot more stuff around you, as opposed to big tile, it's wide open.
That doesn't make sense to me in my head. Because if it's big tile and the guy is 100 yards away, that would be harder to hit. As opposed to, I'm in a tight little office, I'm just going to sandblast a bunch of bullets, I'm going to hit something. So to me, I think that's...
There's more cover. There's more cover in the small tile.
I don't know. I'm all right with
it. That's okay.
Anyways,
but yeah, so the percentage is 2/3 in Assassin's Creed, and then in V-Sabotage is anywhere from 5-6 chance to hit a target, down to the lowest being 1/2. So you can, sometimes it's a little bit worse to hit a target in V-Sabotage. Sometimes it's also a lot easier to hit a target. It depends on what size tile you aim for. So that's a difference. So.
Yeah, and like you said, Creed, it's consistent.
It's always the same.
Whatever the enemy health is, and that's that.
I would probably give the nod to Sabotage in this one because it's more interesting. Like, do I want to try my chances attacking on this tile, or do I want to wait until the move this other one's more likely to hit? Or actually, it works both ways too. Where if enemies is shooting at you, you have less chance of them hitting you because that same location, the percentage also affects the bad guys as well. Mm-hmm. And there's a machine gun nest in V-Sabotage, which can be very excellent to stay in because you're really covered.
Yeah, I think that's interesting where Sabotage does let you manipulate or strategize a little bit more in terms of how and when you're going to attack based on just hit points.
Right. That's right.
I say that, but Creed, you also can manipulate or wait for like the perfect time to strike or like we said.
You can still do that in V-Sabotage though too. That's not any different. The main difference is the hunting mechanic. You can actually cause enemies to move to your spot
on Creed.
In Creed very easily, and then have someone attack them at the risk of being spotted, of course.
Like a trap.
Yeah, kind of like a trap. So that's probably the big difference there, but I would definitely give the nod for the added layer of strategy for V-Sabotage for that point specifically. You don't agree?
I'm kind of a wash here because they don't hunt you in Sabotage, and you can't have them follow you around or.
Well, let's talk about that point too. So if you're visible in Creed, and if you're visible in V-Sabotage, this is very, very different. Mm-hmm. In Assassin's Creed, if you're visible and they're adjacent to you, they will either attack you or move to your spot and attack you.
Yeah, if they're ranged, the crossbowmen will try to shoot you.
Mm-hmm.
And fortunately for us, there were a lot of stormtroopers out there. Or if they're like the pikemen or whoever they were.
Other characters.
Whatever.
Yes.
I don't remember what they were.
It's not important.
They're melee, so they have to run into your spot too.
Yeah, other melee guys. Yep. So, but it's only tiles adjacent to you. If there's a guy's like 2 tiles away or 2 spaces away, they don't really care. Now that's very different in V-Sabotage. Because in V-Sabotage, if you're spotted, they have radios, and so the whole map is heading towards your location.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is. In Assassin's Creed, it's not so bad being visible because you'll take some hits.
More like the immediate area, and then you go back and try to get stealthy.
Correct. In V-Sabotage, you're like, oh crap, the whole base is coming.
Base is coming.
Right. You have to be very careful.
I forgot about that because that didn't happen to us last night.
Yeah, it could turn on a dime if you're not careful with your strategy and planning in Sabotage, where you can just get mowed down. Because how it works is every enemy will attack that space, and you could have 5, 6 enemies all rolling 2 dice each, and you have 4 health or 3 health. Sorry, 3 health. So yeah, doesn't take much to take you out.
Yeah, well, and you don't get more health.
You do.
Do you?
Yeah, there's some health packs.
No, I meant like leveling up your character. You have 3.
Correct.
Yeah. Correct.
You can't gain more health. So I would say now that also ties into another point. Well, actually, first between those two, I much prefer the V-Sabotage enemies moving towards you. It felt more tension than Assassin's Creed. But I'm not going to knock Assassin's Creed because I feel like it works thematically.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have radios. Like maybe, I mean, they're not going to know a guy down the street there. He's going to know.
the horn.
Exactly. So that's a difference. But I prefer the Sabotage. Still.
You like the intensity.
I like the intensity.
When shit hits the fan,
oh,
you're like,
crap.
Let's go.
Exactly. Now, speaking of health, this is one that I'm going to straight up say give the nod to Creed, because when you take damage in Creed, you lose your health, and you have anywhere from 3 to 9 health in that game, max health. And then in V-Sabotage, you basically have 3 health. There's a character that has 4, but basically 3. Everyone has 3. And when you take wounds in that game, your number of actions, that also correlates to your number of actions you can take per round.
That bugs me.
Right.
Yeah, in Sabotage.
Right.
Because, yeah, I get that, okay, I'm wounded, I can't do as much. That's, I think, what the thought is there.
Right.
But there are times where, okay, I get wounded, but then I'm so hindered that I would get frustrated. It's like, I can stand up, and then I get shot back down again, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that part kind of bugged me.
Yeah, I agree with that. That can be very frustrating for sure. The whole point is not to get shot, of course, but duh. But generally, it feels more like if I'm gonna get shot, I'm just gonna get mowed down versus just a few wounds generally. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's to me a very much a pro in Creed's corner.
Yes, but like you said, if you're really into the thematics, yeah, if I'm shot in the leg or wherever, I'm not going to be sprinting across the map. Yeah, right. It makes, I can see that, but I don't like that you can get really.
You can lose actions.
Yeah, and then you could get really stuck.
Right, for sure.
But like you said, just don't get shot.
Don't get shot. Easy.
Leroy
Jenkins. Alarms. Okay. Both these games have alarms. but they function very differently in Assassin's. Let's say the Assassin's Creed alarm. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm reading Ryan's comment. Saying you get knocked down and then get up again. Ain't never gonna give you down.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I'm shocked. The whole point is not to get shot. Who would have guessed? Exactly. Don't get shot. Key strategy points there.
Oh,
that one's free.
Bonus tip.
Exactly.
I got that song stuck in my head now, Ryan.
Stuck in my head too.
What are you saying?
Alarms. Do you want to talk about alarms in Creed real quick? How they
Sure,
work?
you go right ahead.
Oh, me? Okay, fair enough. So alarms in Creed, there's a separate board that keeps track of the enemies you're fighting against and alarm state for the number of boards you have. And if you get spotted, you flip the alarm state, it's ringing. And the only way to really turn it off is by a special card you get early in the game called Town Card. I think you get it in very early. What?
Keep going.
Okay.
Ryan knows.
Oh, you're welcome. Yes. So you can play that card and you can turn off the alarm, and then you're back into spawning less guys, which works fine. In V-Sabotage, it's a physical token on the board, it's the location that has the alarm.
Mm-hmm.
And so the difference there is you have to go to the location and then you can flip it off. Now, a huge difference is in Assassin's Creed, it's possible that you could play the town crier to turn off the alarm once or maybe multiple times in a given game. In V-Sabotage, if you turn off the alarm once, that's it. If it comes back on, it's on for the rest of the game. You can't turn it back off. Thematically, oh, it's a faulty alarm. It's fine. It's nothing to worry about. It comes up again. Well, they're not going to fall for that trick again. That's basically what thematically was happening.
Fool me once, right?
Exactly.
Now, but you said, were you saying Creed is easier to deal with the alarm?
No, you can just do it multiple times as opposed to V-Sabotage.
No, I thought once you use the crier, the card's discarded. Unless you have multiple.
You can draw into it again, and there's multiple, I believe.
Could.
You
is
could.
the key word. I mean, sometimes you may not have that card show up at all.
Correct.
So then.
Correct.
Yeah.
I much prefer the V-Sabotage here. And I like that because this is another fact of cooperation you can utilize. If someone goes to that location with the alarm, and you can coordinate like, okay, I'm at the alarm, I took all the bad guys, no one can stop me from disabling the alarm. Blow up the TNT, fire the RPG, whatever it is, make all the noise you want, and then I'll use my last action to turn the alarm back off. And so yes, you can have all this noise, and then
you can have all these explosions taking place, but
if
you turn the alarm off, they're not gonna question anything.
Exactly.
Okay.
Maybe not thematic, but it's a really fun strategy to employ.
It is good strategy, yes.
Yeah. So I really like that aspect of it. It allows for some really interesting coordination between them.
Yeah.
So a nod to nod to V-Sabotage in that sense. There's also other opportunities where, for example, there might be plane events flying, like a plane's flying overhead, bombing nearby area, and then it's like, oh, by the way, if you use noisy weapons, they can't hear you, so the perfect time to do that as well. So the events are
fitting.
Very fitting, and there's some other opportunities there. Speaking of the events, I feel like the events in both of them are pretty good. I might give a slight nod to V-Sabotage because I think there's a little more variety. Like there's a movie theater, which is really hilarious, where the whole base is like watching the theater, and you can take it over easier, for example. And resistance fighters can come help you, for example. So slight nod.
I think they're pretty even.
They're pretty even.
In Creed, I could throw some coin and
yep.
So thematically, I think both event sets are great.
Absolutely, and they both also have compasses to tell you where they're moving, so you do know.
You can plan, strategize.
You can strategize.
They also have the mystery movement.
Correct. They both do that. So you don't know where they're going to go, and you have to draw the next card to see what happens. So they're pretty much a wash, like you said. Yeah, I agree with that. What was I going to say? Oh, speaking of coordinated between players for the alarms. Here's one that's a massive pro for Assassin's Creed cooperation. There's something called a coordinated strike in Assassin's Creed where if we can both attack a tile or an area, I should say, we can both spend our actions and combine our results to try to take out all the enemies in one go.
Or that's how you hit the big baddie.
Right.
You got to strategize. You team up and you do it because again, your actions can be simultaneous. You do them in any orders. So that's great. What are you reading?
Thomas. The whole base is watching the theater, not the movie in the theater. The theater itself. It's my bad. Yes, they're watching the movie in the base. My. Thanks for catching that. But no. Yeah. So the coordinate strike is excellent in Assassin's Creed, and a lot of the skills, not all of them, but a lot of the skills have a very cooperative element in it.
Yes.
Which, in general, I would give the cooperation to. No, I'd say no. The cooperation is much better in Creed, I would say, than V-Sabotage. V-Sabotage, you still have cooperation in that, like, hey, I'm going to drop this item, you pick it up, you grab this thing, and I have a +1 action I can use on your turn to help you out.
Yeah, so it's more of a strategic cooperation as
Correct.
opposed to Creed. You have more direct cooperation, and it's more of like, I don't know, character meshing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That works. Perfect. Yeah, and honestly, the +1 token also exists within, or saved action, to say, exists in Assassin's Creed, so the same level of coordination you can do in V-Sabotage is still in Assassin's Creed. You can do the same things, other than you don't have guns.
Yeah.
So.
But you have more opportunity in Creed with whatever skill set you might have, or,
Correct.
abilities to do something directly to your teammates.
That's right.
Because I think we looked at it yesterday where there was one character in Sabotage that had a direct action impact to another player, and nobody else was really like, I'm going to move you on my turn for you, or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Okay.
Yeah. There might be some I'm missing, but that's pretty accurate.
Okay. So, awesome for Creed.
Player state is probably one of the. I don't have too many other topics to talk about. This is one of the other ones. This is honestly the same between them. So you can be normal, visible, normal stealth, and then you can be in critical condition. And spoiler here. So if you don't hear any spoilers, this is probably the end of the thing.
Earmuffs.
Earmuffs. Turn off.
2 seconds.
Come back in a minute. You'll be fine. And you can also wear an enemy disguise, which is really cool. In both of them. So, but that's exactly the same between both games. I don't think anyone does one better or worse than the other. So
no, same exact thing.
Okay,
earmuffs off.
Yep, earmuffs off. Thank you. Excellent. So yeah, I think we took care of all.
Was at the bottom of your chart?
That was the bottom of my chart.
No, go back. I wasn't. Oh,
we talked about those.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So 1.5 pages of notes. Good job, Steven.
Okay. Final thoughts. Do you want to talk about these games?
Well, Baron's right. Both games are excellent. They are just different. And if you want to play a campaign game, that you keep score.
I didn't. I might have to go back and count these up for you, Dan. Which ones we said for each of them? I unfortunately wasn't.
Oh, you're
prepared.
right. You're right.
Because it was a live chat, so I wasn't sure what you were going to agree on.
Yeah, I didn't really give you much to go on before this. No, I'd say both they're fun games. And like I said, when we started playing Creed, I was not sold. And you even said that too. And particularly if you play the tutorial. And you talked about that last. We didn't talk about that this go around. You said that was the worst thing ever. So I think after you get past that, and if you get a little bit more invested into that campaign, yes, and just keep going. I had a great time.
It gets better and better as you go.
Yeah,
for sure.
And again, though, I do think when we play again in a year, 2 years, whenever we play this again. Our character loadout, we'll pick different characters. I think it would be a very different experience, particularly against the enemy, like the big bosses. We got really lucky. And it was honestly just like, we should have died, but no, we were just really lucky. So I'm looking forward to another play. Again, it's going to take a while. And just mix it up.
I love Brian's comment here. Sounds like you need to make your own game, combining both games. Assassin Sabotage.
Dun, dun, dun.
I like it.
Yes.
I like it.
Yeah. I will be curious, though, like you're saying, when Ghost comes out, what it's going to look like, how it's going to change Sabotage, and maybe it's going to pull some of those aspects of Creed into it that we do like.
I mean, we can already say yes to some of that a little bit. Because we know what elements are there.
Some level of confidence.
Some level of confidence,
but we really don't know for sure.
So that's your Creed comments, but what about...
So Creed, great campaign, and again, I fell in love with my character. She was awesome. Sabotage, if you bring that to the table, I will play it. It's a one and done deal. I don't have to commit to it unless, and well, even when you play the missions, which is like 3 levels back to back, you could still do that in a sitting.
Yeah, definitely.
And there are also times where it's like we did break that up in the past.
Correct.
So yeah, it's just very different plays. But that one I also like a lot. I like the enemy variety, the intensity that the enemies can put on you. You don't have the time to really develop a character, so you don't get invested in that sense, but that's not the point of that play. So again, no negatives really for me. It's just I'm done with Creed for now. I mean, I need a break.
I kind of go back and count your pros and cons for them and see which one came up on top for you, because I know you both like both of them. I do too. Like, I will... Well, are you done with your comments before I jump in?
I'll probably jump in more. Go ahead.
Okay, fair enough. I loved Creed. I picked it as the game of the year last year, 2021 for me, because I just was having a blast with it. Nice, T. Clark. You love it because you're like running around like a homicidal maniac, whacking people with your mace. It's very true for Kim.
Just leaving a bunch of dead bodies everywhere.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun. And like, so I mean, I can also be a crazy murdering person in Sabotage too if I really want.
You can definitely do that. You can definitely do that too.
Yeah,
for sure.
But
yeah, in Creed, I liked it a lot. Like I said, I picked it as my game of the year. Really enjoy. I do have some criticism of it for sure, just like every game. I have criticisms of V-Sabotage, but sorry, I'm with the maze. Nice. But I think overall, I would generally prefer to play V-Sabotage. I feel like the tension is there more often, and I like the tactical. I like the scenario variety a lot. Does a lot for me as well. I would love to see more cooperation added to that from the ones.
Sorry, the mace has a special place.
That's true. There's no mace in V-Sabotage.
You know what? I know what the giveaway should be. I already have the minis printed. I should make a little mace on a little pedestal. Just gonna have to put that on my desk at work, and people are like, "What is that?" I can't tell you. Mace. Sorry, go ahead. Your Sabotage.
Yeah, so I think between the two of them, I like V-Sabotage more. I think it's easier to get to the table. Like, oh yeah, this campaign, don't worry about it. You can just jump into a one-off, or you do a mini campaign. The characters are there's a lot of variety in characters as well to pick through. The equipment, the scenarios, there's just more to sink your teeth into in that. Actually, I looked at the variety in maps for V-Sabotage. So now in Creed, there's 26 missions. You won't play them all. You might play them all, but there's 26. In V-Sabotage, coincidentally, there's also 26 maps boards. But it's more than that, because that's just the individual maps. And then you also have expansions, which add to that. And you also have operations, which combine them in different ways and change the rules of those. So you have even more on top of that. So there's just more to V-Sabotage. I do like that one better than Creed. But I'm not saying I dislike Creed. It still was my game of the year.
Yeah. It really boils down to, do you want a campaign, commit to a campaign? Or just want to play a game?
But you can kind of do both.
You can, yes.
That's what I'm getting
jump in and play. I wouldn't play Creed as a one-off, but you can.
No. I'm saying no. That's why you like V-Sabotage. You can do either easily. So.
Sorry. I'm like, I love it. This mace it's forever special, you guys. It's forever.
Hit the blade? No. Hit the mace? Yes. Need that meme. Like, nope. Yes, that's the one. Right. Somebody's gonna make the meme for Kim.
No.
Mace mini, yes.
Incoming.
So, but yeah, I think the main, unsurprisingly, the main thing is: do you want a campaign game or do you want a standalone? That's the main differences. Also, I know the theme is a big factor for a lot of people. A lot of people don't like the historical theme in the V-Sabotage, so of course that's going to be a big factor. But you're still in both games going around and
murdering,
taking out guys.
Yes.
So from the violence standpoint, it's pretty much a wash. So.
Yes, they both can be violent.
Right.
yeah, I don't know if I would pick a particular winner. I mean, there are aspects of Creed that I do like a lot better. The
Hmm?
cooperation of
Definitely,
it,
definitely.
way more to go with there. But like you said, the enemies in Sabotage, I think, can give you a little bit more.
Hmm.
But like you're saying, I'm not gonna play Assassin's Creed now for a year because I'm gonna have to forget certain parts, and then even after we play it, if we play it one more time, I think that that would be it, because then you would know the story, you'd remember what, I would hope, although I do have the memory of a goldfish, which scientifically say they have found is not as bad
Right.
as anyway. um but like you're saying, Sabotage you can bring to the table again and again. I think you'd
You won't.
be fine.
Yeah, you won't get tired of it. So there's a lot of variety in that one. Because
Mhm.
we brought that to the table on the channel for weeks on end, and it would return too quite a bit.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of plays on the channel that one, and we'll have a lot more plays when Ghost arrives too. So I don't think we're gonna get bored of that one, um, because it's not like a known campaign. There's no secrets. It's just here's the game, go play it.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a lot, long discussion, but hopefully this kind of laid out all the details, deep dive between difference between Assassin's Creed, V-Sabotage, and I'm laughing here.
Yes.
I vote for a playthrough of
Yes,
V-Sabotage with
I'm
can't
gonna do
import your
that.
character
you
with a
know
maze.
you know what we didn't talk
Can we do
about?
that? We might be
we're
able to make that
gonna
work.
we're gonna house rule it.
We could
we
probably make it work.
didn't we didn't talk about in we talked about it in our last chat about like our last playthrough kind of
Yeah.
thoughts, where in Creed there were two missions I hated.
Hmm?
And it was when you had
Spoilers.
spoilers. Give me a minute. Spoilers,
Earmuffs.
earmuffs. All right, here we go. Spoilers. But you had your old time map and then your future map.
Mm-hmm.
And they were very separate. There was no collaboration whatsoever. And I couldn't, like, you were just on your own playing your own little game. I was over here and you're playing your own little game over here.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you had to complete your objectives so that I could do mine or vice versa. And then we would win. That didn't do anything for me. So I did not like those at
That
all.
still exists in V-Sabotage, but you can travel between the maps.
Yeah,
However, you,
I
anytime.
can go in a tunnel or take a lift trolley car or whatever the.
It's a tunnel. But yes.
Let me drive a trolley.
With a base.
Whatever it was. Oh my gosh, she's hanging on to the back of the trolley with a mace. Yeah, so I could, you like you're saying, in Sabotage you can still travel back and forth.
Okay.
So that would be my gripe with Assassin's Creed in that portion.
Definitely agree. Definitely agree.
Okay.
Also, the maps have a maximum player limit. So like it might be like one player only or two players only
In Creed?
in V-Sabotage. Now you can exceed that. If you exceed that, the alarm's automatically on. You can't turn it off because you're a bigger squad that there's not enough space to hide in there thematically.
Okay.
But mechanically, it's a balance system because you
Okay.
brought more firepower.
Yeah. All right. Earmuffs off.
Earmuffs off.
All right.
Assassin's Creed has more campaign expansions, one in Rome and Tokyo, so you can get more out of it. That's true. Absolutely. Yeah,
Are those character specific?
Rome,
or
you get additional assassins which you play in the main campaign, and you can also just play them standalone in Rome, the Roma expansion. In Tokyo, it's a character specific expansion, I believe.
okay.
I'll double check that
That's
one.
cool.
But yeah, so two expansions there, and then there's also a competitive one as well, which we don't do competitive here. It's just go up. So
No, because I would destroy you.
probably we switched that mace. And yeah, it has more enemy variety for sure, but it's still only two, I believe, two enemies at a time. And in V-Sabotage, there's also two expansions with a third ghost coming along the way. There is Resistance, I believe it's called Resistance, which is you have Resistance fighters. It adds, what does it add? It might add the gas canisters. You can shoot those to take out everyone in an area. And I might be wrong on that, but I think that's what it adds. And then on secret weapons, it adds Goliath tanks you can drive around. And each of those add different elite units as well, and a bunch of other stuff that comes with it. Oh, speaking of the map stuff, in V-Sabotage, you have a mortar class that can actually fire from one map to another map.
Mm-hmm.
So you can help from a great range, potentially. Okay. A lot of talk, a lot of things to cover. There's even more we can talk about. If you guys have other questions, join us on our Discord. It's free to join. We're always there if you want to ask more questions on the stuff. Hopefully you found this interesting. And if you have other, and of course you can always drop comments in the comments. Ask questions in the comment section below.
Drop a comment in the comment, guys.
That's right.
Yeah.
Anything else you got?
No, again, like I said, both games are fun in their own right. I don't think you can go wrong. You do have to get through the first parts of Creed.
Yeah.
And then stick with it, I think.
Sure. I am very, very pleased with Tractor Noir's stealth games. They've done V-Sabotage, I absolutely loved it. Creed, they loved that one. I really hope they think about doing another stealth game. Because so far, they're 2 for 2 with me when it comes to stealth. So, come on! Another one.
What stealth?
With stealth, yes. So, excellent job. Love these games.
Yeah. Okay. No, I had a good time. But thanks, everybody.
A quick note on the rest of the week. We do have another review type format coming Thursday this week. We're going to review Marvel Legendary Doctor Strange expansion with Big Top games and Legendary Leagues as well. So we're going to deep dive through all those cards in that one. Cool.
What are we doing on Wednesday? Nothing?
Nothing. We're just doing that Thursday.
Okay.
Yep. Cool. That'll be it.
Are you having a chat on Saturday? And
having a chat on Saturday. Yep. And, we're working through the topic on that one, so that's going to come out a little bit later.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Okay. Thanks again for joining. I'll see you at the next stop.
Bye.
Bye-bye.